Welcome to Growing Belleville Through Community Chats, a podcast presented by the Greater Belleville Chamber of Commerce to help highlight, promote, and enlighten people, businesses, and community events in the Greater Belleville area. Here are your hosts, Stephen Sedlak and Eric Huber.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Growing Belleville Through Community Chats. I am your co-host, Stephen Sedlak, along with Mr. Eric Huber. How are you, Eric?
Doing fantastic, man. How are you?
Wonderful. Well, we got a great guest for you here today. We have the retired Judge Annette Eckert. How are you today?
Wonderful also. Thank you.
Good. Well, before we jump into it, why don't you kind of give a little background of yourself for those that aren't really familiar with you?
All right. Thank you. Well, I'm a Belleville resident, and I was born and raised here. I was an attorney, and later in my career, I became an associate judge here in St. Clair County and a circuit judge. And upon retiring from the bench, I worked at Lindenwood University, and I taught criminal justice. And at that time, learned about restorative justice courts, teen courts, and other courts. And I, along with the Juvenile Justice Council of St. Clair County, we created the St. Clair County Teen Court, and I'm the director of that. And we've been at that since I have the dates down here because I can't believe how long we've been doing it. But you know how it is when you're having a good time. But we've been doing it since 2020, so we've been doing it for a while, so that's wonderful. In fact,
and that's really
sorry, we've been doing it since December 2014. So I'm sorry.
2014, I thought I said something that was 2015 or 14.
Yeah,
so
14, December 14.
Well, good. And that's kind of really, the main topic we want to kind of touch on today is the teen court, right? And the impact that you guys have had on that. So kind of for those that aren't familiar with the teen court, can you kind of give some background into that, how it got started and kind of the purpose behind it?
Sure. As in the best thing about teaching is not only what the student learns, but what the professor learns from the students. And I learned about teen courts from a student who did some research on them. And learning about them, I was a member of the Juvenile Justice Council of St. Clair County, and I asked them, do you think this is something that we'd like to do in our community? And they looked at it and said yes. So we developed Teen Court. Teen Court is a restorative justice court. It's not a punitive court. And the way it operates is that the St. Clair County State's Attorney's Office refers cases that would ordinarily go to juvenile court to teen court. Those are mostly first-time offenders, some second-time offenders that are in their discretion, and nonviolent offenders. They come to teen court. Originally, we were a peer jury only court. What that means is the case would be heard by peers. The case is not heard regarding whether a person is guilty or not guilty, but rather the teen, before they come to court, must accept responsibility for having violated the law and made an error. When they do that, they are then sit before a jury of their peers. The peers are teens from all the high schools in St. Clair County, or most of them, and they sit and listen to the teen. They hear the police report. They have the teen come. They ask the teen questions. The family has to be there. They ask them questions, and then on the basis of restorative justice rules, which are how can we hold this teen accountable for what they've done? How can we help the teen repair the harm to all the victims? And also, how can we make this teen a better and more productive member of our community? Based on those rules, the teens then determine what remedies that teen must do. Oftentimes, the remedies are a letter of apology, community service, read a book about the 7 habits of highly effective teens. Write a 500-word essay about that. Recently, we have 3 teens going to the Illinois State Youth Camp for a week. We also, oftentimes, the teens will direct that they receive counseling. Sometimes they have directed that they go to Heartlinks for grief counseling because there are issues with that. And the teen has 90 days, 3 months to complete those remedies. If they complete them, they come back for graduation. We have a lot of fun at graduation. We have a lot of applause, congratulations. And then that charge, let's say it's a theft or shoplifting, the state's attorney's office has never filed that charge because they have agreed with us to give them a second chance. So that charge that's never been filed, when they graduate, it's torn up. And they continue to have a clean record so that they can get into the Air Force, so that they can get a job in security or law enforcement, so they can get that scholarship that they're looking for, that they don't have to put down for the rest of their life, that they were stupid when they were 14 and they shoplifted. Recently, over the last year, we've added another level, and that is restorative justice conferencing. That occurs when there is a victim involved who wants to be part of the teen court and participate. That may be, say, where a neighbor has had property damage from a teen and they live in the same neighborhood. So that victim will come and sit in circle with the teen's family, the victim, a member of their family if they wish, community members, and other teens. The same thing goes on. The police report is read, the teen is there, they can ask questions, everyone there can ask questions of the victim about the harm, how they feel, the teen, the family, and then everyone in that circle must decide unanimously what remedies the teen needs to do. Most often the first thing is, right there in the circle, they say apologies need to be made, and they are made right there, and then we move forward. So we have added that to our repertoire as another way that we can bring victims in and heal the harm that has been done with our teens and with community members. So that's the second level of what we've been doing. So we also have been keeping track since 2014 of the teens, every teen that has graduated. And we check their records at the end of this year, which we're doing right now, to determine, which we've done right now, to determine, are these teens doing well after they've had this second chance? Because we strongly believe that they're our future, and we want to know, are we meeting our goals? Our goal was to continue to have a less than 10% recidivism rate, and right now we're at 9.7. So we're very proud of that after all these years.
That's phenomenal. It really is.
Thank you. Thank you. And so it's only 9.7 of our graduates that have gotten into trouble again. So we're very proud of that. Very proud.
Yeah, and you should be, and I think, let's be honest, you're never going to have 100%. There's just some, that'll just fall off the tree. But to have it under that percentage and to give these individuals and these kids almost a second chance, like you said, to, we're all young and dumb at some point. We all made mistakes, and to have that to where it's not affecting you moving forward for the rest of your life and give you the ability to go on to something else that you've either strived for or, hey, you know what, I was going down a wrong path. I've realized that I need to change. This is what I want to do with my life now. I mean, kudos to you guys. Honestly, that's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And it's amazing how teens, of course, relate to teens better than adults. And so when they know the questions to ask, they know what to listen for, they talk to each other. Oftentimes things come out in these hearings because that the police don't know, it's not in the police report. Our administrator that interviews the teen doesn't know, but who do they talk to about it? Their peers, the fellow teens. So it's really very positive, and we have the cream of the crop for our peer jurors. I have to tell you, they are wonderful teens that are devoted to their community and their fellow peers. And they really work hard at crafting remedies that will truly help these teens.
Now you sat on both. You sat on the bench on the other side. Not in the teen court level. Do you? And this is kind of my thought, and curious on your thoughts on it. But do you feel as if there's less of an intimidation factor, maybe for the individuals that are being charged during teen court, as opposed to maybe going to juvenile court or anything like that?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't been asked that before. I think so. It's not we don't do it in a courtroom. We do it down at the Regional Office of Education. So it's an educational facility. Dr. Eichenlaub is a wonderful host and truly believes this is a piece of education also. So so I think that's less intimidating. We do have security there. The sheriff was our previous landlord, and there's a deputy there for us. So there is that kind of what you would call law enforcement or official. But when the teens and their family meet with the administrator, it's not it's more about how can we want to assist you rather than combat it. It's not a prosecutor, defense attorney. So I think it is, and clearly I think at the end of the hearing or the conference, I think there is an understanding of the teen that we're trying to help them. And those graduations are wonderful. And we have a great time. They get, a gift card. They get a teen court pin. There's huge amounts of applause. We take a break afterwards. So they know that we're celebrating their success. So I think so I think all that is less intimidating, but I don't think the teens or their families walk out feeling that it's less serious. I think they realize for all these people to take this time and devote it to them, they consider it serious.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they do. It's just that intimidation factor of being, in a courtroom as opposed to being in it, that maybe they feel a little more comfortable and they realize that people are there to help them as opposed to, put them in juvenile detention for a period of time that, in all honesty, for some of these will do more harm than they'll do good. Yes. And we have to thank teen court, State's Attorney Gomrich and the prior State's Attorney, Brendan Kelly, for, taking this step and experiment with us and continuing to support us with these, forwarding us these cases. And Dr. Eichenlaub for offering us a place to be on Saturdays once a month, and Sheriff Watson for being our prior host and now providing us with security. We have adult volunteers that are there on Saturdays. Every family and teen is assigned a volunteer that shepherds them through the system. And of course, probably more than anything, to thank our teens who have lots of things to do, but devote themselves to the community and their peers, and they're there. So.
Annette, I got a question in regards to, like Steven said, under that 10% for repeat offenders is awesome. So congrats to you guys on that. But, with that, I would assume that there's got to be continual touch points, like you said, that you kind of check up on them every year just to make sure everything's going well. How does that continue after graduation? What does that look like? Is there a continuation with your guys' process?
There is not, Eric. That's a very good question. But interestingly enough, we've had a number of graduates contact us and reach back and say, I just want you to know what's going on, and this is what I'm doing. I'm in college now, and I'm getting honors, and I'm about to graduate, or whatever. But they've reached back. We've actually had some come to volunteer. So I get goosebumps when I talk about that. But we don't reach out to them; they reach back to us. So that is just a wonderful thing. And a lot of our peer jurors, they don't want to leave. So if they go to college in the area, they come back and help us at our training or different things because they believe in what they did and they want to keep on doing it as adults. So that's real affirming to us.
Well, I would say that's even even better, like you said, where I think that teen court I mean, proves itself that it works, that, kids are going through the process, and it's not the continuation of you guys reaching out to them, making sure they're, doing the right things or going on the right path. The fact that they're reaching back out to you guys, I think shows it probably had a pretty good impact on them.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very proud of that. And I do want to add, like everything else, Teen Court was affected by the pandemic. And I'm sure the meetings that you all go to were all of a sudden on Zoom. And, we couldn't meet either. And our prior home had been the St. Clair County Jail upstairs in the classrooms. So we had to do some quick maneuvering. And so we did Zoom. We did teen court, peer juries, and conferencing on Zoom. And these teens, after being on Zoom for all week for school, would come on Saturday morning and continue to be with us and still do these hearings and conferencing on Zoom. And from June 20 to June 2022, we actually did nearly twice as many virtual as we did in person. We did, out of 20, we did 13 virtual and 7 in person. So 13 months, these kids came on Zoom, and we got it done. And we even did graduations on Zoom, and we would send off the gift card and the pin and all these things to them because we couldn't hand it to them. And so it's going to be interesting, I think, to see when we did it virtual and they graduated. I'm just hoping that we made as much of an impression as we do when we're in person. And I think that's probably an interesting study for somebody to look at for their dissertation, to see if we have the same impact. I'm hoping we do. But I think a lot of things are going to be looking at that period of time to determine, are we as effective on camera as we are in person? So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and that's everything, right? That's determined. That's still yet to be determined if businesses shifting to Zoom meeting. Everything had to adjust and do what you did. So I mean, you can only do the best you can do with the hand you were dealt. And I think that's, again, kudos to everybody that especially the kids who like you said, were on Zoom all week for school, which it was a complete total change for them, and now still wanting to help and assist. Go back on a screen on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I know. Here we are, 9:00 on Saturday morning on the camera. So, but they did it. They were great. Yeah.
Hey, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say one other thing, and make sure that I put this out because I think it says a lot about our community. Teen Court does not receive any state or federal funds. It's all community backed. And we have been from originally we did get a grant, and we found out 7 days before we were supposed to get the grant again that instead of getting the amount of money we thought, we got zero. So we said, well, we're just going to try something else. So we are entirely community backed, and we receive donations from individuals, of course, foundations, groups, community groups, and corporations. Ameren has been a steadfast, wonderful contributor and supportive of Teen Court, just to name one, but they've been wonderful for many years. So I think that says in and of itself a lot about St. Clair County, that we invest in our future, we believe in our kids, and we want to give them a second chance. And I just think it's a real testament to our community and how we invest in our kids.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, and me and Eric have been doing this show now for going on a year now, and everybody that we've come across and talked to, we all kind of have that mentality of just how St. Clair County, Belleville, people in this area just are very committed to the area and, avenues in this area that help improve the area. So, I mean, to have that and no grants and just be fully funded from outside donations is a testament to, like you said, those businesses that see the importance of this and understand how it's going to improve. These kids might go to college or like go to the Air Force, like you said, and maybe never move back here. But there are some that will, and I think the ones that will, even their time here will be changed in a positive way.
Yes. Yes.
And that, real quick, Stephen, you just made me think of something. With that, like you said, as Stephen alluded to, I mean, Belleville, everything. Do you guys have partnerships with any of the companies? I mean, they employ or look at some of those former kids that go through the system at all? Is there any type of partnership there, or not really?
No, that's very interesting, Eric. We've never progressed to that level. We've had partnerships with the YMCA and done programs with them. We've done, and we have this new, it's a loose partnership, but with the Illinois State Police. In fact, well, for the last 3 years, they didn't operate because of the pandemic. And in one of the police reports, an officer said this youth would be perfect for the Illinois State Police camp. And lo and behold, they're open this year. So we've got, and it's a wonderful partnership, such an opportunity to be there for a week and get all this mentoring, physical activity. It's just a wonderful opportunity for them. So, but we haven't taken that step to look for other things. The one other thing we partner with, and that is a remedy that the teens use, is R3, which builds homes in East St. Louis. And oftentimes they will pay people or hire people, teens, to do work. So the teens oftentimes refer them there. Now, this is weather dependent because you can't, when there's ice and snow, you can't do this. But they will use that as a remedy, hoping that the teen does well, and maybe it would offer some employment opportunities. So we have partnerships like that where there are some remedies where they might, in the summer, be able to give the teen a job. But thank you.
That's awesome.
It's something we ought to look at. Thank you.
Yeah, we all got something out of this today.
Yeah.
Well, I want to, that percentage that's the 9.7. How many students have gone through the program?
Yes, I have that right here. My quick numbers here. Just a second. I thought I had it right here. Hold on. I know I do.
You're okay.
222. So
Since the inception in 2014.
Yes, and those are
that's
graduates.
Right. And I guess that's another question. Do you ever have anybody that doesn't graduate?
Yes. We don't have that many, but oftentimes the parent will choose not to have teen court, and they will go to court. Oftentimes, this is where they believe that the teen is not responsible, and so they would want to go to juvenile court. So we have some that elect not to take teen court. We really don't have many that don't show up, that don't, after they've had their interview with one of our administrators, there aren't very many people that don't show up, but there are some, and there are some that don't complete their remedies. So we do have a small number that fail to do that. Those cases are automatically referred back to the state's attorney, and they are charged in juvenile court. So they don't fall, by the wayside. Then they end up with the charge.
Now you guys are all volunteers that handle the court, correct?
We have 2 administrators that meet with the teens and their families and do all the paperwork, and the rest of us are volunteers.
And how many people roughly would you say in a county year, whether it be the teen jury, anybody else, or roughly are involved with the organization?
I would say, this fall we plan to train 40 teens to be part of our peer jury so that they can do every other month. We probably will be utilizing another 20 adult volunteers. And then if you look at volunteers like, the YMCA that connects with us, or the state police. I mean, we have a lot of people, doing volunteer things for us, but they're not there at the hearing. So we have at least 60 to 70 volunteers, and then, people who provide assistance for us.
That's incredible. How do you, how do you get the teen peers? How do they express it? Do you partner with the high schools or anything like that?
We send out a letter about the 1st of August to every high school in St. Clair County, and telling them, once again, here we are, and we're looking for teens. We base the number of teens that come from each high school on the population so that we divide it fairly. So, Belleville East doesn't get the same number as maybe Freeburg that might be smaller. So we try and be fair with that. We have a list of criteria. Must be someone who would be committed to this, is of good standing. We have kind of criteria list of about 10 things, but we historically then let the school determine who of the people who request to do this. And we do have a lot of teens that say, I want to do this. How do I do it? Talk to your school administration. And then they send us a list. That's how we chose to do it in the beginning. Our administrator was a prior school principal, assistant principal, and counselor and teacher. She recommended that since we don't know the teens, but the schools do, let them make the choice. It's worked out very well. And they have sent us wonderful, devoted teens. So I think we're going to stick with that because the high schools know who we are and what we need, and they've done a great job. So
what else, that kind of got me thinking, how else can people get involved, if they want to donate or if they want to be a volunteer? What's the best avenue that they can go about?
Thank you. We have a website, and it's Teen Court Foundation, SCC for St. Clair County.com. And they can go on the website. It has everything about us. It has our annual report that will show them the recidivism rate. It also has a PayPal that you can click if they want to make a donation. It also has how to contact us. So I think that would be the effective way to do that. And I go to many groups and talk about teen court. If anybody would like a speaker for somebody to talk to them about it, we're happy to do that as well so that we can spread the word of what St. Clair County is doing.
I guess on my last note here, before we're coming up on 30 minutes, so I want to be respectful of your time here. But you retired, and did you ever have plans on doing this? I'm just kind of curious of yourself. I'm sure you get great gratitude out of it, but did you just think, hey, I'm retiring and now off into the sunset, or did you kind of always have a plan to do something similar like this?
No, I didn't. Teaching, I taught before at Loyola Law School and the police academy here, so teaching at Lindenwood just kind of came naturally because I taught at so many places while I was a lawyer and while I was a judge. But this was something that just kind of showed up. But I was in criminal court on and off for 20 years. In fact, that's what I did for the last 6 years. So I saw it from that perspective. And I don't have any regrets. I got quite an education. I tried to do as good a job as I could. But now in retirement, having the opportunity to be at this front end and keep people out of the system is very positive for me. So I'm very blessed to have had the student who taught me about this and to be able to do it.
Well, I think you guys are doing an outstanding job. Again, kudos to everybody involved. Again, if everybody, we'll try to put a link to the website here if anybody wants to go on and donate or get in contact. We'd love to help you out any way that we can. So again, thank you for joining us today. Eric, do you have anything else?
No, thanks, Annette. I mean, this was all new to me. I loved it. It was hearing what you guys are doing is awesome. So keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
I agree. We need more things like this in the world today. So
Thank you. This was a real opportunity for us. Appreciate it very much. And if you
absolutely, thank you again.
If you'd like to come to teen court starting this fall, we'd love to have you as our guest.
Perfect.
I have to stop in.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thank you once again. We really appreciate it and hope that everybody got some good information out of this. So thanks again.
thank you for the opportunity. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Growing Belleville Through Community Chats podcast. Please remember to follow and subscribe to this podcast and share with your friends and community leaders. For additional information from this podcast, please reach out to the Greater Belleville Chamber of Commerce.